Well, Tracy, that parade of folks leaving some of these buildings after being locked in continues. I'll just let you look at kind of what I'm looking at here. We're at Ithan and Lancaster Ave, and you see a range of emotions here, from folks who have a smile on their face because it's over, to those who look scared, to those who have tears in their eyes because they just didn't know what in the world was going on out here. But you can see this heavy police presence, and it goes down even further down the block there on Ithan. We've seen folks leaving with long guns, some with Army fatigues on, which you don't see folks in a military uniform on a college campus that often or ever here. Folks showing up for the first time from out of state because it was a day to move in for freshmen. There was a big freshman mass. There was kind of what you would call freshman orientation. It's supposed to be a joyous day, and then this happens, of course. We do have some video we want to go to from the scene earlier today. When we arrived, folks were just talking about how they got alerts on their phones and telling them to stay where they are, barricade, lock in, and do not move. Some of the folks were telling us what they did while they were barricaded behind the walls, and that included watching our very own newscast for information and for the latest. They said they were captivated by the phone watching us, and that's just another take of what was happening behind the scenes here as well. We had a chance to talk to a man who was out here during that mass when the crowd started running away. Here's what he told us.
I saw a lot of people stand up and in a panic start to just mass exit towards me. We got up, we joined the crowd, and we were trampling over a lot of these folding chairs. They just started to go down, and people started falling over chairs and then ducking, getting low, staying for cover, trying to get into buildings or behind walls. I just kept running, luckily, and got all the way over here. But many people tried to get to their car.
And what do you know what happened? Do you know why they were doing? What were you being told was happening?
Well, it sounded. I thought I heard some pops, but it sounded like people were saying there was some shooting going on. And
they're responding to a report we don't know. We haven't confirmed a lot of this stuff. But how are you just feeling now?
I'm shaking. Like you never would have expected. I'm sitting at a mass, on a beautiful day, and we had a great experience here, and it turned into a bit of a nightmare.
Bit of a nightmare, that is for sure. You're looking at an ambulance right now. We don't know what happened, but a woman was just loaded on a stretcher into the back of this ambulance. We don't know how she was hurt or why she was hurt, but that's just another thing that we maybe check on later on, that this person was injured, maybe during some of the running away from what happened out here. By now we all know that this was a cruel joke, a hoax. It was called in, but the folks out here, it was certainly real, it felt real, and everybody's just grateful and thankful they were able to reunite with their family members safely. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
And we know that the time that it felt real was during a mass that students were attending. We're also hearing that there was another university push to students and faculty. We can tell you what that push said. It said we will still hold a blessing for the community at 7 p.m., which is right now on the campus green. That is the main campus behind the church. It goes on to say orientation activities are canceled for this evening and will resume tomorrow. Those blessings definitely needed. Them stressing that will continue tonight.
And they will definitely be putting their arms around all of those students and families who for an hour and a half thought there was an active shooter. And that's going to stay with them for a while.
It was just 6 o'clock when we learned that this was a cruel hoax. An hour and a half after the fear. NBC10's Lauren Mayk has that part of her story on this active shooter believed to be on campus. Let's go to Lauren live now.
Jacqueline and Tracy, it is calm in this neighborhood right now, but that was not the case a couple of hours ago. This road right here is where we saw police vehicles speeding down the road to get to this scene. One of the things that we are noticing now is that some vehicles are coming down the street so that they can try to get through here, thinking that things are back to normal. But this investigation is still continuing here. This is still blocked off with police tape. And just a few minutes ago, we spoke with the Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer about his investigation and how all of this unfolded late this afternoon and into the evening. Take a listen.
One call that I know of for a shooter, that's why everybody responded. Then there was other information that came in during the course of the time law enforcement was here trying to lock down the buildings. But as you saw, these agencies worked hand in hand together to make sure that we secured everybody on the campus, secured the buildings, and went through the buildings. At this point, everybody's being released and sent home. All these different law enforcement agencies working together went through every building and made sure that there wasn't somebody hiding or anything like that. Once we determined, and the chief, using his expertise, determined that we had done that sufficiently, we knew we had a hoax.
And I asked the district attorney, is there a trail that you can follow to figure out who is responsible for this? They're not sure yet. They are going to try. They are going to work on that and put their resources to it. But he said, people can sometimes try to cover up where calls are coming from, so they know that there could be some roadblocks in doing that. But he said they are going to work to find the person responsible for putting this campus, those parents, those students through this, and for this law enforcement response that we have seen here today. Live at Villanova University, I'm Lauren Mayk, NBC 10 News.
And we're here in the live center following some alerts from Villanova. Jackie and Tracy mentioned that right now they are holding a blessing for the community at 7 p.m. There's also a timeline of the incident. Something to note, though, is that this happened during orientation. This happened, of course, as 1,800 students or so were on campus. And we have video of what happened with some of those students started hearing reports of this shooting situation. You can see in the video here people running to safety. Of course, we know that there was a shelter-in-place order that came after, but these are students that moved in. Many of them yesterday came in with their families and were enjoying opening prayers at the time that word of the shooting started to spread. You can just see the chaos there across the campus as students tried to make their way to safety, unsure of what was happening, unsure if those reports, which ended up being a hoax, were true, but they didn't want to risk it. And of course, you can see as they're running for safety in this situation. A very scary time for the 1,800 plus students that were just moving in for a new year, that were trying to hold that ceremony outside of the law school that ended up being where police were concentrating their efforts, and that students and officials were being asked to stay away from. But again, this just kind of shows you some of the fear and some of the chaos that was happening on campus there. Tracy.
All right, Miguel, thanks. We've been getting a lot of updates from Villanova in written form, but Father Peter is on campus actually giving a statement, and we're going to get that video for you. Let's go to Lili Zheng now. A lot of incoming freshmen were on campus just getting their bearings at that mass, halfway through the mass. Lili, you spoke to some of the families.
Well, yeah, Tracy, we did. And, they are telling us really tonight there are a lot of mixed emotions. Of course, you have that panic, understandably, when they didn't know exactly what was going on. We spoke with a father and his daughter, and we'll show you that interview in just a minute. But I will tell you that the area that we're standing now, we're right by Gary Hall. Significantly different than what it was just an hour or so ago after we got the news that this was, as the university called it, a cruel hoax. There is still some police activity near the hall, though unclear exactly how long they will be down there for. But again, the parents we've spoken with tonight, they say that there are feelings of relief. There's some mixed feelings, because this, while they are, of course, very glad and fortunate that nobody is hurt, this was a really scary point-blank ordeal to go through. A father and his daughter who just moved in onto campus this week. She's a freshman. They did shelter in one of the buildings, and we asked that father what was going through his head during a moment like this.
Protecting the kids, and of course my daughter, just making sure they are okay. I told them I'd stand guard by the door, and we were able to lock the closet door, so I was just keeping everyone safe and away from harm. So that was my main goal.
So right now, campus is still slowly getting back to normal. You are seeing some law enforcement still on the scene here. Again, the university says they are holding that blessing for the community right now at 7 o'clock. We are told that other orientation activities will be canceled for this evening, and they will resume tomorrow. We'll send it back to you.